Thanks very much for speaking to me, Leigh. So we're talking about the bond space, the innovative bond space. Just tell us about what factors you think have led to RMB becoming a leader, a market leader in the space of the capital markets, particularly when it comes to the offering of innovative bonds.
So I think the capital market space has changed over a number of years. So it's gone from being very securitization led to going slightly more vanilla. But over time, what RMB's done really well is we've consistently innovated. We've found a vanilla product, structured it for our clients, and made it more interesting, broadened the capital markets to take on these new products. And I mean, this relates back about 10 years. If I look back, we did the Krugerrand bond in about 2015, and that was a global first. We took the market, we took the gold market, and we said, what do you need? They wanted a Krugerrand bond. So we created a bond that wasn't denominated in rand, it was denominated in ounces. And we sold that to the local asset managers. And that then created a platform for the platinum bond, which was the next level of innovation in the market. So we created that platform, which is now obviously grown and developed. Krugerrand bond has been redeemed, but it set a precedent. And I think that is what RMB does well, and we've been doing it for years. Everybody's talking about ESG at the moment, latest buzzword. Everybody's doing green, they're doing use of proceeds, sustainability linked came in, and my team came to me and said, what can we do differently? So we did the Barloworld Gender Linked Bond. So that looked at transformation and diversity in a big corporate. Again, it was a first for the African continent, and I think from a team of all women, we were very proud to bring this into the market. We're now looking at extending that and taking that same platform into Africa. And we've got deals where we're also looking at that type of structure on the African continent. Again, we've created an innovative product that met a client's needs, and we've transferred that into a broader product that can be sold further.
You talk about RMB being responsible for a lot of firsts in the area of innovation in the bond market. Just expand, particularly on the gender-linked bonds. And I know that you're also an innovator in the area of the Sharia bond. Just tell us a bit more about that.
So in all of these products, the innovation comes from collaboration. The team looks at the client, they see what the client's needs are, and under no circumstances will we go and sell something that's highly structured if we only need to create a vanilla type product for them. Then we look and we say, okay, this is what they are needing. How do we create a low cost? How do we increase the diversification of their funding base for them? And how can we create a product that's really going to work for them in the South African market? We don't need a precedent. We'll create the precedent. And I think that is key to how the team looks at it. Then we don't just look at the client, but we look at the market. We look at the platforms that are available, the investor base, their mandates. What do they need? What can they invest in? And we create collaboration between all the different parties when we structure these notes. And that's what creates these new platforms. That's what helps the market to develop, is all the different parties are starting to talk to each other. And that is really what fosters the innovation within RMB. The Sharia market, we've been looking at it for a while. We needed government to come. We needed government to create a benchmark for other issuers to come. But we've had numerous SOEs, we've had numerous clients saying, how can we tap into this pool of funding? And that was about creating a product that government could then list on the JSE. There's now a platform out there for any corporate. There's a benchmark, we can price against it. We know the structures, we know which investors can take it. We've broadened the investor base and brought in players who may not have been able to invest previously. So it's really about bringing all parties together and being open to the collaboration, but also understanding your client.
So innovation is the buzzword here. What would you say RMB's approach and philosophy is to innovation in the capital market space?
Understand your client, number one. Understand their needs, understand what is going to really drive them, what they need, and then look at your clients, look at your products, look at the platforms, and bring it together. I think it's really key that you look holistically as to what the DCM market is. Look at trends internationally, look at trends locally, look at trends on the continent, but you don't have to stick to a precedent. And I think that broader thinking, that out-the-box thinking, is what has allowed the DCM team to innovate over a long period of time. It's not a once-off. It's been going on for 10, 15 years that we've been doing these type of products. So it's really about considering what can we do, how can we push it just that little bit further. There's ESG, but what about gender-linked?
So how has it emerged that Rand Merchant Bank has become a key player in the area of unlisted issued notes?
So the capital markets has always been a space where your top 40 companies go and raise funding. It offers them diversification, it offers them lower cost of funding. But the market and the space has evolved. And there's numerous smaller companies that also want to access investors, and investors also want to have access to these corporates. And so what we've looked at is how do we create a space where you don't need a credit rating necessarily, and you aren't necessarily big enough to be listed on the JSE. How do we create that linkage between our investors and our clients that fall in this place? And that is exactly where the unlisted market has developed. So we've got a number of different mandates now. We allow these corporates to access a diversified funding base. It works together with their banks, with their banking relationships, but it gives them a lower cost of funding and increased diversity.
So for the uninitiated, what is the significance of the unlisted note in the broader financial ecosystem, and how has RMB helped to shape this environment?
You can now look and you can go out and find new funders. So these corporates, which used to just be able to go to the banks for funding, can now go to an institutional market. So you're broadening your funding base, you're taking off the pure reliance from the banks, but the banks will work together. This is more long-term funding. The banks will look at, for instance, slightly shorter or bridging finance, where banks are running into limits. We can now sell it off into the capital markets and enable these corporates to get the funding they require, but from a diversified base. And that's been key to actually the development of the overall financial system, is that we now have different pockets that we can obtain that funding from.
So in this space, how do you think RMB differentiates itself from its competitors?
We are the leaders in this space. We've done numerous programs. We've got a very good understanding of what needs to go into those programs. What does the documentation look like? What do the investors need? What is the role of the issuer in this whole, ecosystem that we have created? And that is our differentiating factor, is we've been doing this for a number of years and we've got that in-depth understanding, but we also have the in-depth understanding of the client. So we know they may only need 50 million ticket sizes. That's not going to list. We need to do 250, 300 million on a listed basis. So we take them, we introduce them to the investors, and we create the product that allows them that diverse funding base, low cost, but smaller amounts. And it's our understanding of it that differentiates us.